This e-lecture is part of Pearson's Professional Development Series for first-year writing instructors.
This is Kim Flachmann talking about the reading-writing connection. I want to start off right up front by saying I believe that reading and writing are two halves of a circle that desperately need each other to be complete. In addition, I know that students learn best when they are reading and writing at the same time. But this is difficult to accomplish with the segmented schedules we have on the college level. I do, however, have some suggestions for you that will help your students succeed within this crazy college time frame. My first suggestion is to make sure your students are always writing when they are reading. This does not mean highlighting entire paragraphs in yellow, but rather writing reactions, thoughts, suggestions as they read. We are used to assigning reading at the college level and coming back together to discuss it. But I suggest that we have to teach reading strategies that require students to write while they read. Here are some specific reading strategies to help you achieve this goal. First, making personal associations. To teach this strategy, have your students write down their associations as they read. Personal reflections, memories, thoughts, reactions. You might even have to specify a certain number of associations per page, because the students aren't going to want to initially do this. Recording the associations they make lets them connect the author's ideas to their own experiences and keeps them focused while they are reading. This is really an excellent starter strategy for reading critically. My second idea is called a think aloud. Have your students read aloud in groups or as a class, stopping along the way to mention any thoughts they have in relation to the text, either related or random. I always have to demonstrate this strategy for my students because they are nervous to read aloud. But once we get going, it's fun and constructive. This strategy actually demonstrates how we all read, going in and out of focus as we work with the writer to make meaning from the words on the page. My third idea is actually called chunking. Such a very elegant label. To perform this task, students must first circle the main idea or thesis of an essay. Then they draw horizontal lines throughout the essay to separate the various topics that support the thesis. These lines may or may not coincide with paragraph breaks. Finally, they have to label each chunk in the right margin and prepare to explain the divisions they made. This is a wonderful group activity, and there is no right answer. That is very important. The fourth idea, graphic organizers. For an essay, have students show the relationship of the writer's ideas to one another in a graphic form that makes sense to them. For this strategy, students are actually drawing a map of how the ideas in the essay are related. You might have to initially help students find a framework for their drawing, which you can get online if you Google graphic organizers. There are thousands there. But figuring out what framework to use for this exercise is part of the process for the students. 5, separating facts from opinions. This is always a difficult concept for students. To do this, have your students fold a piece of paper in half, vertically. Then have them list the facts from an essay on one side and the author's opinions on the other. This strategy is especially important in helping students become critical readers as they learn to analyze and assess the material they are reading. This is an easy strategy to teach that gets great results. Finally, I want to give a little twist to the good old strategy of summarizing. You all know to do a standard summary, you first have to have your students identify the main ideas in their readings, and then have them fold these ideas into a paragraph with logical transitions so their sentences flow one from another. This is the little twist. This is especially an effective technique if you have your students summarize small sections of the essay as they read. You can set the breaks where these summaries should appear. This latter exercise is called descriptive outlining. After students write their summaries, have them draft 3 questions that you can use for class discussion. Then make sure you use some of the questions in class. But wait! I have only talked about half of the circle. The reading half. What about the other half? We now have the students writing while they are reading, but how do we get our students to read their own writing? That is a very tall order. They invariably want to get the pain over with as quickly as possible and turn in their first drafts. So here's the magic formula. Every time your students write an essay, have them use one of the reading strategies you taught them on their own writing. Have students write associations they have with their own essay, or think aloud as they read their own writing, or divide it into chunks and label the chunks, or prepare a drawing of the relationship of the ideas in their own essays, or make separate lists of facts and opinions in their essays, or summarize either all or part of their own writing. This second half is the most important feature of the reading-writing connection. In this way, students learn to treat their writing like a piece of reading. But I have to add a warning here. Beware. This practice may lead to revising and editing and all kinds of good habits. This final maneuver also completes the reading-writing circle and helps your students become a little more conscious of how to make meaning from the perspective of both reader and writer.
For additional e-lectures, visit Pearson's professional development site for first-year writing instructors at www.pearsonhighered.com/compro.